Board of Education and District Administration for everything that they do and all of their support for the PTA. I'd also like to thank Dr. Woodbury, Mr. Rendon, and the high school lease administration for allowing us to have our event here tonight. And of course, thank you to all the candidates for attending tonight. Since we are short on time, we have a lot of candidates tonight, so thank you. I'd like to introduce my co-chairs of our legislation committee, Stacey Abramson and Susan Kaplan.
Welcome, everybody. On behalf of Susan Kaplan and I, we would like to thank Wendy Natalone, PTA Council President, and the rest of the Heller-Smitelli Hills PTA Council, some of whom are here tonight, Michael Petruzzelli, Nina Cunningham, and Michelle Garaffa, for hosting this Meet the Candidate night. We'd also like to thank members of the Board of Ed, Eric Jerenswald, Betty DiSabato, Diana Alcampora, Stephanie Gurin, David Kasten, Adam Kleinberg, and Dr. Paul Peller for their continued support. In addition, we would like to thank our Superintendent Kelly Fallon and the Heller-Smitelli Hills administration. We'd also like to acknowledge Anne-Marie Maroon-Caliendo, Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Facilities, Richard Haas, Teacher Association representation on our committee, Lorraine Lipinski, Director of the Social Studies Department, as well as Mary Lippert, Assistant Principal of High School West, and Patrick Rendon, Assistant Principal of High School East, for all their support and help on the Legislative Committee. Also, a thank you goes out to Dr. Woodbury, Principal of the Heller-Smitelli Hills East, for enabling us to be here to host this special event. We'd also like to give thanks to all the students who sit on the Legislative Committee, as well as the parent representatives for all of their hard work, in planning this special event. Finally, a big thanks goes out to all of the candidates and the community. Thank you for coming out tonight and making this night a great success, despite it being the first night of the World Series. Go Mets. And as a side note, please, if anybody has a score update, mum's the word. We have a die-hard fan sitting here who's TiVoing it and taping the game. So I now turn the floor over to my co-chair, Susan Kaplan, who will just review the rules for this evening.
Good evening. Just to quickly review some of the rules, we distribute copies of the rules to all the candidates, so hopefully you've received them. However, we just want to very simply kind of update. We are going to change the opening statement to 2 minutes. Some of this is based on because there are so many candidates that we would like to not have it too lengthy in some respects. So I think they may say 1.5 minutes, but we're going to go with 2 minutes for an opening statement. Then we will allow the candidates to take questions from the community in an alternating form. There will be a microphone handler circulating in the room on each side of the room. The community member will have 30 seconds to ask their question. We ask that it be fairly direct and in a question format. Please pay attention to our time monitors as well, which we will have around the room, that will let you know when time is running out. And then each candidate will have 45 seconds to respond to the question. We ask the candidates not to engage in dialogue with the opponents, but to please use your time to respond, as it's limited. Also, we will not be doing closing statements. So we'll do it through the opening and closing to state. And I think we also had distributed through the room to the community members the rules for the questions. And if anyone, just look for someone with a badge if you have a question on any of that. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you once again. We just ask you respectfully ask that the community as well as the candidates follow these guidelines so we can ensure optimum use of our time tonight and get out in a timely fashion. Thank you and enjoy the night. Michael Petruzzelli will be moderating the night, so I invite him up to do it from there. So you can do it from there, and he will be inviting the first candidate up to speak.
Hey, good evening, thank you. It's Suffolk County Legislator, Executive Steve Malone here. Not yet, okay. We'll go back to that. We're going to start off with our judges for the Justices of the Supreme Court. And we have Julian Capitalo. Excuse this statement, if she would come up first. Sure. Next will be William Ford, so just so you can be ready. Now, just if you're not aware, community members, they are going to make a statement. They really can't take questions from the audience, if I'm correct. And it's just election rules.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. You are correct. Judges cannot really take any questions. We're not allowed to be political. We can't offer our political opinions. We can just tell you about our backgrounds. For those of you who don't know me, and most of you in this room I don't think know me, I am a sitting judge in Nassau County Family Court for the last 18 years. I am running for Supreme Court in both Nassau and Suffolk counties on the Democrat and the Republican lines. I have been an acting Supreme Court judge since 2007, and this past January I was physically moved over to the Supreme Court building, where I preside over cases that it would be after November, after January 1st, if I am elected. Before I was elected to the Family Court, I had the privilege of working for 3 distinguished jurists in the Supreme Court as a law secretary, and prior to that I was in private practice. Immediately before my election, I was a referee in the Supreme Court, hearing all the new matrimonials that were filed, and I was the representative from the court who met the litigants. I love what I do. I ask for your support this coming November 3rd, and thank you again for having me here.
That's a longer walk than I thought it would be. Good evening. My name is William Ford. I am running for Justice of the Supreme Court, as Ms. Capitola mentioned, in Nassau and Suffolk counties. I'm currently an acting county court judge in Suffolk County. I preside over the drug treatment and the mental health treatment courts here in Suffolk County. I'm in my 2nd year in that position. I was elected in 2008 to the district court, where I had a regular criminal trial term. I presided over hundreds and hundreds of DWI and drug possession and assault type cases. Let's see, what else can I tell you about myself? I am a native Long Islander. I'm a member of the Dix Hills United Methodist Church, where my family and I have been members for about the last 17 years or so. Like I said, I'm running for Justice of the Supreme Court. In the past 2 years, I can tell you that I've administered a grant that we obtained from the Department of Justice to expand the drug treatment court. We've been very successful. We actually held one of our required stakeholder meetings this morning. We've expanded the reach of drug treatment, which I guess I don't have to tell everybody in this room is a significant problem here on Long Island. I'm honored to be able to be here and ask you for your vote in November, and I thank you very much.
Mr. Robert Quinlan. And then we will have Janine Barbera-Dali. Next.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you tonight. I am not a judge at this point in time. I've been a practicing lawyer, was a trial lawyer for 30 years. I'm a past president of the Suffolk County Bar Association, past president of the Suffolk County Criminal Bar Association, a member of the Municipal Law Committee of the State Bar Association. I'm a former member of the House of Delegates of the State Bar Association. I was in private practice in the Bayshore area for over 30 years, trying personal injury cases and criminal cases. I think it's important that you have someone on the bench in the Supreme Court, which is your major trial court on Long Island, where all your major actions that may involve your family, maybe whether it's a personal injury action from a car accident, a divorce, a foreclosure. You need someone who's represented people and understand what is going on the other side of the bench, both as an attorney who's been there, but as someone who has represented people who are in crisis and in the courtroom, and will give that respect and understanding to the cases before them. I'm fairly well recognized among the bar in this county. I have an AV rating preeminent from Martindale-Hubbell. That's a peer rating. I've had experience once my kids went out through college and I was able to pay for it. And back in 2006, I went into government. I became the town attorney of the town of Brookhaven. I served there for 5 years and 2 years as the town attorney in the town of Islip, the two largest towns in the county. I believe my broad experience in both criminal law, personal injury law, civil law, municipal law, it gives me the background to be a judge on the Supreme Court, to represent the people of Suffolk County in that manner. I'm endorsed by the Suffolk County PBA, by the New York City PBA, Suffolk County Court Officers Association, the Suffolk County Detectives Association, the CSEA, and the forget some other union. All right, thank you. I can't, as we said, we can't take questions. I apologize.
Janine Barbera Valley. Move on. And then next is Deborah Poulos.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for saying my name correctly. It's Barbera like the Flintstones and Dolly like the artist, so lots of people get that wrong. Thank you for having me here tonight. I am presently a sitting district court judge in Suffolk County. I was elected to the bench in 2012. And my part is the criminal part. I am the first part that you come to, not you per se, but people when they first get arrested. I like to say that I run my courtroom almost like I run my household with my 4 kids. My part is not just a punishment part. I see my part as also a rehabilitative part. If I get a young person in my part, I don't ever want to see them again, so I want to make it an uncomfortable situation for them. However, I want to teach them something along the way. However, I'm also not a pushover because, as I said, I'm the mother of 4, 3 of them boys. So anyway, I'm running for Supreme Court in both Nassau and Suffolk County, and I was a practicing attorney before I got on the bench in 2012. For 25 years practicing law, I was in private practice. I did mostly matrimonial law, family court, and some criminal court. So I do have a background. Thank you for that. And I'm hoping that I can get your support this November 3rd, which happens also to be my son's 18th birthday. I was the first vote he casted on his absentee ballot up in college. So that was an exciting first for me. Thank you very much for having
me. Deborah Poulos.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Deborah Poulos, and I'm from Dix Hill, so I hope I'm the hometown favorite tonight. I'm also running for Supreme Court in Nassau and Suffolk counties. I am presently a family court judge sitting in Central Islip, and I love my job. Before I became a judge, I was a practicing attorney in Hauppauge for 25 years. I ran my own practice, and I did a whole host of different types of law, focusing really in matrimonial and family law. I run my courtroom much like Ms. Barbera just indicated to you. I am tough, I am firm, but I'm kind. I've been given this opportunity now to run for Supreme Court, and I'm very much excited about it. I don't have a lot of lines. This is a real grassroots effort for me, but I can tell you one thing. I'm very hardworking. I know what I'm doing, and let's go Mets. Have a great night.
Next, we're going to hear from the candidates for the family court judge positions. Marlene Budd, and will be followed by Martha Luft.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank the Half Hollow Hills PTA for hosting this event and giving us the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Marlene Budd, and I'm running for re-election to the Family Court Bench. I was elected in 2005 and have been an acting Supreme Court judge since 2013. Prior to becoming a judge, I was an attorney for 15 years. I represented corporations and various entities in commercial litigation and also in family court matters. I was in federal court and state courts throughout the region. I was also fortunate to have been appointed by the courts to represent the interests of children, seniors, and incapacitated persons in guardianship matters. In addition to my busy law practice, I was a councilwoman for this great town of Huntington for 10 years prior to my election to the Family Court Bench. I lived in Huntington for 22 years and in Dix Hills for 8 of those years. While on the town board, I sponsored and passed legislation to restrict where adult stores could be located, strengthened sex offender laws in the town, initiated a program for seniors to obtain low-cost prescription drugs, and sponsored and passed senior and veterans tax exemptions, and during my tenure, 1,000 units of senior housing was constructed. I'm 50 years old. I live with my 3 miniature schnauzers, Gracie, Harry, and Maxie. I'm an active member of my church. I sing in the choir, and I volunteer with the members of the congregation in civic activities to help provide assistance to children and families. I have mentored foster children and have been a lecturer for the Suffolk County Bar Association, Toro Law School, St. John's Law School, and the National Business Institute. I am also a past recipient of the Woman of Distinction Award, and I'm being given a 15-second sign, so with all of my legal experience, it's provided me with the necessary skills to be qualified as a family court judge, but I believe it's my life experience as a foster child that has made me uniquely qualified. It has instilled in me a strong desire to help those who cannot help themselves. And as I look back on my first 10 years as a judge, what comes to mind is that I'm really blessed. I'm blessed to have been given the opportunity to help hundreds of children in Suffolk County through the thousands of cases that I've handled. I think we all know that the last place any child wants to be is in family court. Typically it means that their father or their mother abused or neglected them. As a family court judge, you have to make tough decisions with compassion. I understand how these children feel because I've been there myself. And I'm blessed to be able to use my life experiences as a foster child in a positive way to help these children who so desperately need a voice and a concerned and compassionate judge. So I'm being given the sign to stop, so I'm honored to have represented Suffolk County families for the past 10 years, and I respectfully ask for your vote on November 3rd so that I can represent you again and help hundreds more children and families in this great county. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. Just so you know, community, you can see the candidates after the whole back and forth if you'd like. Many of them will stay here and they have their literature there. Next, we'd like to hear from Martha Luft, and then we'll hear from George Larkin. I'm sorry, Harkin.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Martha Luft. I am a sitting family court judge, and I'm up for re-election. It's really hard to get people excited about judicial races. There's so many restrictions, and people kind of zone out sometimes. I've done this, I've done that. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that if children and families are important to you, then the decision that you have to make on family court judge on November 3rd is perhaps one of the most important decisions you're going to have to make. Because family court judges have a profound effect on hundreds, if not thousands, of children in the course of our 10-year terms. And that effect is of the most profound nature and of a lifelong nature. In 10 years, not only have I developed a very detailed and extensive knowledge of the law, for which my training at Stanford Law School prepared me well, I've had time to hone those very special skills that one needs to be a good family court judge. I'm talking about patience, compassion, with firmness. I'm talking about listening. I'm talking about communicating with people.
a family court judge has to speak directly to litigants on many occasions, and you've got to speak plainly to make sure people understand. Family, it has been central in my life. I've been married for nearly 41 years to my husband, Dr. Benjamin Luft, who is the founder of the World Trade Center Health Program in Islandia, and we've raised 3 wonderful children, and recently, in the last couple of years, have become the proud grandparents of 3 beautiful grandchildren. I have poured my heart and soul into my work for these last 10 years. I have a proven record. Not only have I been found qualified by the Suffolk County Bar Association, I have had a highly qualified rating from the Independent Judicial Election Qualification Commission. I see I've run out of time. So let me say to you, I come with a proven record. I give you my pledge that if I'm reelected, I will use my utmost skills and bring all of my talents to bear to serve the children and families of our county. Thank you very much.
Thank you. George Harkin, and then we'll be followed by Matthew Hughes.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. Thank you to the Huntington PTA, or Heller Hills PTA. Sorry about that. As was said, my name is George Harkin. I'm running for one of 2 positions in family court. Just to give you some background about myself, I graduated from law school, which I put myself through in 1988. I then started in the district attorney's office. I spent 4 years in the district attorney's office, prosecuting misdemeanor cases in the beginning, moving my way up to felony cases, armed robberies, burglaries, rapes, and trying cases to verdict. A number of I couldn't even tell you how many at this point. When I left the district attorney's office, I went out into private practice, first working for someone else, and then building my own practice. A good part of my practice when I was in private practice was in family court. So I interviewed the parents, the mothers, the fathers that I was representing, not only in my office, but I went to their homes. So I know what they're thinking about when they're appearing in family court. And that's important, as Bob Quinlan was telling me, to have someone that's been there in the trenches with the people that they have to represent. Then left there, went into the Attorney General's office, and I was representing the state of New York in the Court of Claims. From there, I went to the Court of Claims as the principal law clerk to the judge that was sitting. Principal law clerk is a position in which you are the judge's lawyer. You get to give advice to him, help him on evidentiary rulings or her, and conference cases. I spent 18 years as a law clerk, first in the Court of Claims, now in Supreme Court working for David Riley. We do matrimonial cases. I'm running out of time as quick as possible. While I'm not a sitting judge, I will tell you this, that the Suffolk County Court Employees Association, which is a union that represents the men and women that are the backbone of the court system, have endorsement. Thank you.
Matthew Hughes.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Hughes, and I'm one of the candidates for family court. Just in terms of, I just want to talk about my legal experience and my life experience. I started my career in the Suffolk County Legal Aid Society in the Family Court Bureau, representing petitioners and respondents in connection with family court matters involving custody and visitation, orders of protection, abuse and neglect proceedings, and child support. I had the good fortune of representing numerous litigants in connection with the family court, and I can tell you that I saw the difference that a tough and a fair and impartial judge can make, and that's why I ultimately want to run for judge, to make a difference. I've seen it, I've witnessed it, and it's important, as others have indicated, when you're dealing with family court, when you're dealing with children and families. I then had the opportunity to be a special assistant district attorney for the town of Huntington, where I prosecuted town code violations and misdemeanors in district court quality of life crimes. I'm a resident of Suffolk County and a resident of the town of Huntington. I also worked for the law firm of Rifkin Radler, and I'm currently a principal law clerk to the Honorable Judge Joseph C. Pastoressa. A principal law clerk is a quasi-judicial position, whereby you are essentially a lawyer to a judge. But more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, I think that while my legal experience would serve me well, it's my life experience when you're dealing with children and you're dealing with families that really matters. I'm a father of 2 children. I have a 10-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son. I'm a husband to my lovely wife. If I can get through the next 6 or 7 days, I hope to be married for another 15 years. I've been married previously 15. And I'm an uncle to 5 nieces and nephews. My parents have been married for 50 years and they reside in Huntington. You know, one of the standards that they use in family court is what's in the best interest of the children. And I can tell you that my wife and I, every day, every week, every month, and every year, we try to determine what's in the best interest of our children. And with your support on November 3rd, I hope to determine what's in the best interest of the children of Suffolk County. Because the children of Suffolk County are our future, and our families are the backbone of Suffolk County. So thank you so much for your support. I'm running on the Conservative, Republican, Independent, Green, and Reform Party lines. Thank you so much.
Next, we're going to hear from the county legislators running for the 16th Legislative District, Steve Stern and Thomas McNally. If you both come up, we'll start with Steve Stern. They'll each get their opening statement, and then we'll take questions from the community.
Mike, thank you. Thank you, and hello everyone. Good evening, and it's good to see everybody, especially our young people who are here this evening, many of whom I've had the opportunity to work with for these past many years. I'm Steve Stern, and it's my privilege to serve as your Suffolk County Legislator. First, let me say thank you to my community for giving me and my outstanding staff the opportunity to serve you once again these past 2 years. I'm running for re-election, which, due to term limits, would serve as my final term as your legislator. And I'm running to build on a record that I'm so proud of, a record of holding the line on taxes and providing fiscal responsibility, particularly during these very challenging times, protecting our environment, preserving open space, protecting the quality of our water for us today and, of course, for generations to come. I'm the co-sponsor and author of some of the most aggressive legislation in the country when it comes to protecting our children from violent sexual predators. And I've been with all of you over these many years to help lead the fight against overdevelopment in our area, and particularly right now against the proposed New York State Department of Transportation's rest stop on the LIE. I'm very proud of my legislative accomplishments over these past many years, many of which have literally been first of their kind in New York State and even first in the nation. But I'm most proud of our open and accessible and responsive service to our community and so many of the great things that we've been able to accomplish, especially with so many of the people who are here with us this evening. I've also served as the chairman of the Veterans and Seniors Committee in the Suffolk County Legislature. I wrote the Housing Our Homeless Heroes Act, which is Suffolk County's very aggressive legislative initiative to end veterans' homelessness in Suffolk County, and I'm looking forward to the implementation of that act in the next term. That's why I'm running for re-election, and I ask for your continued support this one last time on November 3rd. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you all for coming out tonight. It's a real great representation here. My name is Tom McNally. I live here in Dix Hills. I'm a dad. I'm a father. I'm a husband, and I'm a businessman. I work for a corporation where my job is to make and manage, and most importantly, meet budgets. 3 things I'd like to talk to you about real quickly this evening is fiscal responsibility, ethics and transparency, and protecting our kids. First, fiscal responsibility. we're in a lot of trouble in Suffolk County. There's a huge structural deficit. What does that mean? That just means we're spending more money than we're bringing in. I believe with my background, my training, my experience, my financial training, I can transfer a lot of those skills into the government and make some common sense out of the budget process. Secondly, ethics and transparency. We've all been reading a lot in the papers as I've been walking around the neighborhood and walking around the district and talking to people. People are fed up with politics as usual. So, in my career, ethics and professionalism have been the cornerstone. I'm a member of the American Bar Association. I'll be the chair-elect designee of the Ethics and Professionalism Committee. I worked very hard last year to help rewrite and make recommendations to improve the Town and Huntington Ethics Code, and ethics will be a major, major emphasis if I'm elected to Suffolk County Legislator. Thirdly, protecting our children. For the last decade, I have been involved with mentoring. I think it's very important for us to get into the schools at an early age, provide mentoring to our middle school children. Secondly, I think it's high time we brought back the DARE program. It's been gone since 2008. I think it's time to bring it back. We're spending $500 million on Suffolk County Police. Let's carve out some money to bring it back into the schools. Thirdly, let's reunite our police force with the federal partners and do something about the drugs and the gangs in Suffolk County. That's a key critical importance. If I have your support on November 3rd, I promise those things will be on top of my list. Thank you very much.
Now we'll take questions from the community. If you just raise your hands, one of them people with the microphone will come over to you and move around the room.
I'm from South Huntington Schools. I run the Spirit of Huntington Arts Center. As you know, we've had the worst. We've had 5 teen murders in the last 5 years. Steve Stern, what is your plan to have prevention programs and after-school programs to prevent gang violence?
Just to reiterate, excuse me, the questions are for both candidates, so
Okay,
please
no problem.
realize that. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, in the Suffolk County Legislature, we go through a budget process every single year, and we identify outstanding programs that we help to fund that provides outstanding after-school programs for our young people all throughout the county. It's a process that we take very seriously. We go through each and every line item to make sure that the appropriate dollars are being utilized for that very purpose. It's something that I've been committed to my entire tenure in the legislature, and as the parent of young children, I know just how important that is. Thank you.
As I mentioned, folks, I'm very involved with mentoring. I think it's a very useful, it's a very helpful program. I've been doing it for 10 years, and best of all, it's free. It's commitment from the community. As a matter of fact, I've already started to work with our neighbors in Deer Park, the Deer Park Community Association. I met with them last week, and I introduced them to the Mentoring Partnership of New York. They're going to be developing a program at Robert Frost Middle School, hopefully based on these recommendations. So that would be one of the key things I would promote and develop in the Suffolk County Legislature. Thank you.
Next question.
Okay. Hi, my name is Hector Gabia. I'm also a Dix Hills resident. And my question to you is that recently the Suffolk County Legislature overwhelmingly voted to expand the red light camera program with Xerox Corporation. So my question is, what is your opinion of the program? Do you find it abusive? And do you think there's any changes that need to be made to it?
We'll start this one with Mr. McNally.
Thank you. Excellent question. We've all experienced the red light cameras in Suffolk and Nassau County. It was a big issue in Nassau County last year around the schools, and as a matter of fact, it's caused a major headache in Nassau County's budget. I am opposed to further expansion of the red light camera program. I think the main purpose of the red light camera program is as a revenue raiser. I think there's much better ways to raise revenue. I think us as a group are, for the most part, very, very safe drivers. We're all trained and experienced. And I believe that the red light camera program should be toned way back. Thank you.
I'm also opposed to the expansion of the red light camera program. And you know, there's been a lot of talk, and there's been a lot of activity the past few weeks specifically. But you can talk all you want. At this point, I am the only legislator that's actually started the process of taking action on making much needed changes to the red light camera program. And so I look forward to working with you and others where I share many of the same concerns, and we've had great conversation about that, and look forward to working together to come up with much needed reforms to the program. I look forward to that. Thanks.
Next question.
Oh, hi. I've been a resident of Dix Hills for back since 1980, and I heard the conversation about gang violence and so on. Okay, and it's been in the news quite a bit about illegal immigration and so on, and it is illegal. Okay, I came to this country legally, so I feel I'm qualified to speak on the subject. What is the situation in Suffolk County when it comes to illegal immigrants and so on, and people that commit crimes? Is there a discussion about it? That's it.
Legislator Stern, we'll start with you on this one.
Well, regardless of one's immigration status, a criminal is a criminal and should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, regardless of citizenship status. That is the policy of Suffolk County government. I support that fully, regardless of status. If you've committed a crime, then you'll be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, and the consequences are the consequences. That's my position, and I believe that's our strong position.
Yeah, again, the focus here, I think, is getting to the root cause of the problems with the gangs and the drugs. And I think we can really control that a lot better. A couple of years ago, the Suffolk County Police participation in the FBI's drug and gang unit was disbanded. And as a result, over the last couple of years, we've seen an increase in drug and gang violence. So, as I said in my opening statement, I believe we really need to reconnect our police force with our federal partners to take a stronger stance on drug and gang violence, together with getting into the schools and working with our youth. Thank you.
We'll take one more question for these candidates, please.
Hi, I just want to ask a question. In Suffolk County, we seem to be having, well, Long Island and around the country, we're having problems with squatters. Do either of you have any ideas on what we should be doing about this to not only protect the neighborhoods, but the people who may be in a situation and they just want a place to live?
Mr. McNally?
Yes. Well, we've all been reading about the housing situation, the zombie housing situation. We've got an awful lot of depressed areas in Suffolk County where the homes are in disrepair due to foreclosure, that no one is taking care of them, the banks haven't been taking care of them, so that brings about a squatter issue. It's a public health issue, it's a crime issue, and it needs to be addressed. Everybody here spends an awful lot of money on your property taxes, and you take good care of your property. So what we need to do is manage the zombie housing, and if there are people living in those homes, they have to be removed. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the zombie home issue is an issue that affects every community all across Suffolk County. I can tell you, first of all, that the courts are becoming a lot more aggressive in pushing the banks along on the foreclosures, but I can also tell you that in Suffolk County, two very important programs that are, I think, going to have meaningful results. First of all, we've enacted Land Bank in Suffolk County, which will now give us the ability to take control over these vacant properties, go through the rehab process, and then sell them once again so that they can become productive parts of our community. And I'll go back to the Housing Our Homeless Heroes Act that I passed and that we are now in the process of implementing, where we will take these zombie properties that we can now take jurisdiction over, work with so many of the not-for-profit partners that we have that have particular expertise in working with our veterans and their families to rehab these homes and turn them over for use by our veterans and their families. Those are two very important programs that are going to attack the zombie problem and be much better for all of us in our communities. It's going to be better for our quality of life, and it's certainly going to be better for our property values.
Thank you. Next, we're going to move on to our 17th Legislative District, and we're going to hear from Legislator Lou DeMauro and Janet Heller-Smitelli. Smitelli, excuse me. They'll also get their opening questions, and then opening statements, and then we'll get the questions.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank the PTA, first of all, for giving us this opportunity once again to speak to all of you. 2 minutes is a very short time to talk about 10 years of experience in the Suffolk County Legislature. It's been my honor to represent the 17th Legislative District over those 10 years, and I'm asking once again for your support and your vote on Election Day, November 3rd. So let me just focus on a couple of areas that have always been a priority of mine while serving as your legislator. First and foremost, I've always tried to protect taxpayers. It's very important to me that we understand that we live in county government within our means, just as you do at home. And I've always tried to make sure that when we pass the Suffolk County budget, that it did not include a general fund property tax increase, and that's what we've been able to successfully do over the last 10 years. It's not an easy thing to do. We've had to make some very tough decisions to get there, including even some layoff of county employees at times. That's the last resort. It's something that we don't do lightly, but it's something that we had to do. Another area that I've always, 60 seconds, thank you. Another area that I've always prioritized has been protecting our environment. For many years in the Suffolk County Legislature, I served as the vice chair of the Environment Committee, and we've purchased thousands and thousands of acres of open space using our quarter-cent sales tax, a quarter penny of our sales tax, to ensure that we preserve our open space, especially as you go further east, to preserve our quality of life, and also to make sure that we're protecting our groundwater. Those are very important initiatives, and I've helped to do that. Finally, I want to mention to you something I've always focused on has been the implementation of sewers here in Suffolk County. It's not an interesting topic, but it's a very important topic. It's one that we have to consistently focus on to make sure that we have sewer infrastructure in place in order to ensure that we can expand our economy, expand our businesses, and protect our groundwater. So again, I'm asking for your support on November 3rd. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Janet Heller-Smitelli. If you don't remember my last name, just remember Janet, okay? Good evening, and thank you all for coming. I know that this is an exciting night, and I can't wait to get home to catch up myself. A little bit about me is I was born on the South Shore. I have lived for the last 25 years in Huntington. I have 3 sons. You know what? Let me do that again. I got married. I have 3 sons. I also have been a practicing attorney for 28 years in the area of litigation. I am an assistant Boy Scout leader for 12 years. I'm very active in my church. I also am involved in my son's schools and my son's activities. I have a great passion for this position. I've been someone who's been out and about. I have been to many activities, many evening events that you've seen me at. I have been trying to get to people's houses. I've been trying to call you on the phone. I've been trying to let you know there's another option out there. There's someone out there that has passion, that has fresh ideas, that can think outside the box, someone who's traveled, someone who's lived in other countries before, someone who brings to the table not only the experience of fighting very hard for their clients for years, but someone who also has the diversity of different activities and a different background that can bring to the table many new ideas. Please see some of this passion in me, and I invite you all to talk to me afterwards. I would love to hear from you. Thank you.
Now we'll take questions.
I just wanted to ask the candidates, being that this is an election, we can only obviously vote for one of you. How do you two feel about possibly working together? If one of you, well, when one of you wins and the other one doesn't, will you be able to somehow find a position where y'all can work together like they do in Washington? I want to know if they're going to be able to play well together.
I'm sorry, if you mean should one of us not, I don't understand the question. I don't understand.
Well, I just want to know, will you be able to work together? You hear, when candidates are speaking, you will always hear one saying vote for me, the other saying vote for me.
Okay, great.
Will you be able to work together should one of you not?
Let's not, be fooled here. I don't think anyone in this room is. This is the campaign season. This is what we do. Let me tell you really about the Suffolk County Legislature. It is probably the most bipartisan, cooperative group that we've seen at any level of government. We're not Washington, we're not the state of New York. We really have terrific debates in the legislature. I have to tell you that there's great camaraderie in the legislature across the aisle. We work together. We craft our entire county budget in a bipartisan working group. So although you may see differences when we're talking about our ideology or where we stand on particular issues, the fact of the matter is your county government serves you very well because we usually come together.
The other part of being an advocate and working very hard for a client or for a community is the ability to work together. And I think that's probably the root of your question, that are you a team player? Are you someone that's going to be able to negotiate, or are you going to stand up there and have just one position and one position only? Well, if that's your tendency, then this is not the job for you. To be a legislator, you're working on committees, you're working with people all the time. And there are going to be people of all different backgrounds and people of all different levels of experience and people with all different opinions. And of course, we have to all work together because we all love this area and want to see it prosper. Thank you.
Next question.
Yes, again, this has to do with South Huntington. Will you be able to put in for more police in South Huntington? Using the police presence we already have, not costing the taxpayer any money, increased patrols in South Huntington.
Okay, sure, that's a great question. I chair the Budget and Finance Committee in the Suffolk County Legislature. As I also mentioned, I help put together our county budget. One thing that I've always focused on is neighborhood safety in our community. You have a right to be safe in your home, and it's my job, because we have a county police force in this town and in the 5 western towns, to make sure we deliver that protection and your safety. I have always funded budgets that have put more cadets into our academy and have made sure that when those cadets graduate from our police academy that we get our fair share here in Huntington. We've also done some other things too, that we make sure the 2nd precinct is adequately staffed. They have the right resources. We've done undercover operations. We've done special operations teams to get towards the gangs and gang violence and the drug problem that we have in the community. So yes, the answer is I always ensure, as your legislator, that we're bringing enough resources into this area. Thank you.
Our county police budget is somewhere in the vicinity of $80 million. We certainly should have enough police on the visible
and their presence should be seen. Believe it or not, on the way coming here, I saw 7 patrol cars responding to an incident near South Huntington. What I think is important is I'd like to see presence all over Huntington. I'd like to see the substations being brought back. I'd like to see somewhere where you can actually see police presence in different spots at different times of the night, not just cameras, not just someplace where someone can duck. I think it's important that we take a look at the assessment and the organization of our police a little better. It's not a funding problem, it's an allocation problem. Thank you.
Next question.
Hi. Okay, my question is that in the red light camera contract with Xerox, one of the provisions that's in there is that we allow Xerox to choose the location based on only one criteria, and that's if they believe that it will give 25 tickets in a business day. And as a result, we've already seen several cameras been moved out of locations that did not meet the minimum criteria, and that's also in the contract as well. And that's the only criteria. So throughout the contract, which I do have a copy of, there's no mention that locations are based on accident records or safety records. So my question to you is, do you think that's fair to the residents of Suffolk County, and what do you plan to do about it?
We'll start this one with Janet Heller-Smitelli.
Janet Heller-Smitelli. We'll practice later.
Thank you. I've been told that there are about 100 red light cameras right now in Suffolk County, and that they have been placed at strategic places or places where there's most accidents historically that have been at that location. I have also been told that the red light cameras were installed as a revenue producing and safety prevention initiative. I also understand that they do not have any further plans at this time to install further cameras in addition to these. However, as you said and as you've seen, they may have been moved around. I don't advocate any further red light cameras. I think that we have to study what we have right now. And it's very interesting that you pointed out that there is also another component to it, which your average person doesn't know. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. We've had hearings on red light cameras, probably hundreds of hours of hearings on red light cameras. The fact is that where they're placed is based upon traffic analysis and traffic safety data. I'm not quite sure what the gentleman is referring to as far as what's in the contract, but I can tell you, irrespective of what that says, those cameras are placed at the most dangerous intersections. The good news is that when we put the cameras in place, there's only 100 of them in Suffolk County, in the entire county, and there is no plan to expand that program. Traffic safety at those particular intersections vastly increases, and it saves lives. And if you doubt that, go down to the, come down to the legislature. I'd be happy to show you some of the videos that they capture on those cameras of trucks and buses and dump trucks passing through those red lights and killing people. And I'll tell you, we're starting to prevent that, and we're making a big difference. Thank you.
I think we have a question from the other side here, and then we'll round it up with one more after that.
Thank you. Bill Dunn, Huntington Station. My question is in two parts and follows the line of can we all play together? In your district, how are the schools growing into the digital age at the middle and intermediate level? And as the legislature for your district, how do you provide parity? Do you have a parity plan for the entire island to evolve into the digital age, so all schools are treated the same?
We'll take the first question from Janet Heller-Smitelli. Is that better?
That's good. Thank you. I understand that that's essentially a school question. I will tell you that tomorrow I'm going to Career Day at Stimson School, so if any of your parents there, you might hear about me.
I believe that my son has gone home this year with a Chrome computer, and he's not that excited about it, but he's learning to use it. He believes that it's additional homework as opposed to his written homework. And that's what I know about it. I would love to learn more about that, but I do not know other than what the school has told us. Thank you.
I'm a big fan of technology and getting our kids up to speed. I have two boys of my own, age 13 and 11, so I'm living through this right now, and it's a great question. Of course, the county, we have our own issues and our own budget to deal with. The schools have their own method of taxation, which I'm sure all of you are familiar with. But we do help to the extent that we can. For example, whenever the county has surplus property available, usually it's computers. We can give those out either to community-based organizations where the kids can get to them after school, or we can work with the school districts and make them available. Other than that, there's not much more we do other than work on a cooperative way. If the school district ever came to me and said, listen, we need a way to work together to bring more technology into schools, I think that I would be cooperative with that. But they're doing a pretty good job by themselves and within their budgets as well, which are very difficult to deal with. So it's a great question. I think the kids have to come of age with technology. They have to keep up with the rest of the world, and we have to be competitive. Thank you.
We'll take one final question from another community member, and we'll start with Legislator Lou DeMauro.
Oh, hi. I was going to talk about the red light camera, but I take issue with what you just said, because I was the victim of getting one of those tickets, and it was making a right turn. And what I find is that Suffolk County has no standardization for the timing of the yellow light. And when I went to challenge, I wasn't heard. I was insulted, saying that I had to shame my behavior. And what you had was an 83-year-old Korean veteran, another 73-year-old guy, myself, an unemployed guy, and none of those guys were driving trucks and going through red lights. So if you're having a lot of hearings, then why don't you invite me? I'm an engineer. I like to talk about.
So what's your question?
My question is.
I'm not here to listen to this. What's your question?
You have a ton of hearings. Am I invited to one of those hearings?
You can do. Sorry,
then
I will give you access to anything you need.
And because
okay, now I'm very sorry that you got a red light ticket, but if you pass a red light, you're going to get a ticket.
See, that's not a good answer.
Okay, well that's my answer.
Well, that's fine.
So if you have a question for me, I'd be happy to answer it. I'd be happy to answer a question, but if you're here to complain about a procedure, I'll help you with that. But where's the question?
Do we have one more question for these candidates? Otherwise, we'll thank them for their time.
Yeah, I have a question.
Why were the yellow lights shortened?
I don't have an answer to that. As far as I've been told by our Department of Public Works, they are set by the state of New York, and the county has nothing to do with that. So I would suggest you contact your state representative to find out.
Oh, we have. We have.
Yes. We'll give you a chance to respond if you'd like.
I'm sorry, I have no response to that.
Yeah! Thank you both for your time. And I believe we have Corinne DeSoma, running for Town of Babylon Receiver of Taxes. Going to move on to our Huntington Town Council. We can ask them to all be ready. We will start with, one second, I'm sorry for that. Keith Barrett. And then we'll follow up with Councilwoman Susan Berlin.
Sorry, I'm tall. Thank you all for coming tonight. It's a pleasure to be standing here in front of you, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a lifelong Huntington resident. I've lived in Huntington, Dix Hills, Huntington Station, and Melville. I'm a business owner in Huntington Station. Right now I reside in Melville. I'm married. I have three sons, 3 lovely daughter-in-laws. 5 out of the 6 children, 5 of them are school teachers. And I also have 2 granddaughters. So the sons I never had any daughters, so I have my 2 granddaughters. I'm a small businessman in Huntington Station. I own an auto repair shop. I am the co-founder and president of the Huntington Station Bid for the last 11 years, so I'm pretty civic-minded. I'm also the representative for the 18th District of Doc Spencer for the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Committee. And I'm presently the Deputy Director of General Services for the town of Huntington. I'm asking for your support because I'm a free thinker. I bring fresh ideas. I want to bring fresh ideas to the town board. My door will always be open, and I will never forget who I work for. I'm an independent, business smart, and I'm not a politician. Thank you.
If you can stay right up here, so when we're ready to take the questions from each of you. After Susan Berland, it will be Councilman Eugene Cook will be next for his opening statement.
Thank you. Thank you, Half Hollow Hills, for hosting this again another year. And thank you, everybody, for coming tonight, especially the young people in the audience, a lot of whom I know very well, who have been friends with one of my 4 kids who all graduated here, so it's like coming home, and a lot of them are my youth council. So I thank you all for being here and participating, because you are absolutely our future. So it's my pleasure to be here. I am your only full-time councilwoman. When I was first elected to the job, I said I would do it full-time, and I've kept that promise, and I continue to do it. I have the knowledge and the experience to do this job. I have proven results. I get the job done. I've passed numerous pieces of legislation, such as the blight law, which deals with foreclosed houses in our neighborhoods. I'm the one who brought our town meetings to TV, so now the zoning board, the planning board, the town board are all televised for those of you who can't make the meetings. I put in the time. When I do this job full-time, it's 7 days a week, and I'm asking for your support to continue doing it. I ask you, look at our records, look at the legislation we've passed, look at the programs, look who sponsored what, look at our records. I support our seniors, our veterans, our youth. Look at the positions we take on issues. Look at the neighborhoods we care about and the neighborhoods we don't. There's always more work to be done in the town of Huntington, and I respectfully ask for your support to continue doing the job that I've been doing and love so much. And we have the best town. It's the best place to raise children, to have a family, and to work. And I hope to continue doing that again. And I thank you very much for your time.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here. I want to thank the Half Hollow Hills PTA. I am your councilman. I've been your councilman for the past 4 years, and I'm running one more time. I am going to term limit myself out because I believe in term limits. It is so important, and you young people here need to know that everybody here is capable of running the business of the people. It's quite simple. It's difficult because they make it difficult in the papers and stuff, but realistically, it's simple things. You take money in, you pay your bills, you look at things that need to be done, and you get it done. I'm very proud of what I've done over the past 4 years, but I will not run for town council again, and I want you to know that. I think it's that important. Some of the things that I've done for the veterans, I've been able to get the VA hospital paved at no cost to the taxpayers. I made phone calls to citizens that wanted to donate, and we got that done. Over at the VFW parking lot in Huntington Station, we did the same thing, and we were able to take care of our veterans that way, at no cost to you. I was able to take down a building that was condemned by the town. It needed, it was out to bid for tens of thousands of dollars. We did it in-house, and we saved all that money. Besides, we made $280 some odd by selling the scrap steel. So these are the things that I'm proud of. I live in Greenlawn with my wife, and we've raised our 5 children there. And I love Huntington. It's a beautiful area. But we need to get it set so that we can all work together and move things along so that we're all safe and happy in the town of Huntington. Thank you.
Next is Jennifer Thompson. Then we'll take questions with the candidates and they'll answer in a rotating order.
Good evening. Thank you so much to the PTA for hosting this forum tonight and giving all of us an opportunity to meet the community and address their questions. I'd like to start by sharing a little bit about myself. I'm married and I will be celebrating 20 years of marriage with my husband in December. I'm the mother of 2 middle school age students. I volunteer in my church and I serve on the East Northport School Board in my community. Brent and I chose to move to Huntington and raise a family here because we believe this is a beautiful place to live. It has natural beauty that surpasses most other parts of the country. One of the things that I recognize, though, is that good government needs to work in a way that brings solutions to the problems of its community. And over the last couple of months, I've been going door to door, meeting residents, and hearing about some of the things that are concerns to our community. I would like to be on your town board so that I can bring solutions and we can stop discussing those problems over decades, but really make some changes to make the improvements so that our future will be protected and preserved and that we will all live in a community that is safe and represents who we are as individuals. One of the things that I'd like to start with is ethics reform. I believe that our community should have a place in which they can go when they have a concern, bring it before the town, and know that there's going to be a resolution. Without ethics reform and transparency, we really just lend ourselves to having waste in our tax dollars and in the way that our government runs. Secondly, I'd like to work on term limits and support legislation for term limits so that we can make sure that we eliminate those relationships between town board members and special interest groups and protect our residents against leaders seeking power and not performance. Thank you. I ask for your vote on November 3rd.
We'll take our first question from the community. Up here in the front, you have a microphone.
8% of our population has autism now. I haven't heard anything about it. I'm on the spectrum myself. I run a successful charity. What career opportunities will you open up for people with developmental disabilities that are high functioning in the town of Huntington rather than referring them to Burger King?
We'll start with Councilwoman Susan Berland.
I'm glad you started with me. Eric, I love you dearly, but you put a post on Facebook that said that I think that you should get a job
Let's
at
not
Burger King.
personalize this.
You asked the question. I have to respond.
I got witnesses here that
First
know
of
you
all,
said it.
nothing could be further from the truth. My family's business worked with AHRC, the Association to Help Retarded Children, from when I was a little girl. I'm the only person who attends all the events for our people with special needs in the town. I give them their proclamations every year, their bowling certificates, their trophies. I work with John Bass, who was a handicapped individual
People with
who was
autism
the...
don't lie. Excuse me, I don't want to be near you.
Stop that.
I don't want to be near you guys at all.
Eric,
No.
this is what happened. You
wouldn't
came to
be-
my
I wouldn't
office,
be
you
here
threw
if
a
it wasn't
total
true.
fit, and you had to be escorted out of the building.
Excuse me?
You've been apologizing to me for years.
Never happened.
You're upset because you support a building on the corner of Main Street and Park Avenue that I don't support, because you want to build a sculpture there. You're a great artist, Eric, but you've made
We're
a
not
personal
making this
attack
personal.
on
I
me.
asked a question to
No.
the entire town board, and you're singling me
Okay,
out.
Excuse me.
I
We
want
can
you
keep
to
this
address
to
the
the
question.
to questions, please. You can take a seat, sir.
No problem.
I have provided numerous opportunities to people with special needs for jobs in our town. I am the one who's shepherded all the people who are in town hall who have special needs, who need, different things. I just got the alarm on the bathroom from one of our handicapped people in the town who had, issues with that, and there was a problem for a long time getting an alarm in the bathroom. I care very much about our handicapped population and have worked very diligently to get them jobs. We have a handicapped office, we have a handicapped division, and there's a number of kids from the Half Hollow School District who had special needs who got summer jobs thanks to me. So,
Thank you. Councilman Cook, would you like to respond to that?
One of the things that I did that I'm very proud of is I helped the blind community. I went to the last day of the Helen Keller was closing in Huntington, and they invited me in to talk to a number of blind people. And there was one fellow that was there that was really in distress. What I realized was these people were really fabulous people and had gotten blind, most of them later on in life, but they had such great talents. And so their biggest needs were jobs. And I have to say that I was very fortunate. I actually took two of these people to job interviews. One of them got a job and is now in a very successful job in Greenlawn. And I am thrilled and proud of that, and I love the idea that the satisfaction that I got out of that, helping these people, were great. And Eric, whatever I can do for you, I'd be more than happy to. Thank you. God bless you.
Help our kids, not the administrative salary.
Please, if we can let the candidates answer. Jennifer Thompson next, please.
Well, my background is in special education. I've worked with all different populations in high school and middle school. I've worked with students that are SED, which is seriously emotionally disturbed, ED, which is emotionally disturbed, LD, which is learning disabled. Within the learning disabled community, I've worked with students with autism, with Asperger's, and all sorts of different classifications in between. The bottom line is we need to make sure that there are opportunities that meet the needs of the specific person that's looking for an opportunity. We can provide mentorship to them, but the reality is, in some way, we all need some sort of accommodation as human beings. None of us are perfect, and so I think that when we recognize that people have different talents and different disabilities, and we find ways to partner with them to make them successful, that's a success, and I will do that.
In general services this year, we had a young man come up to work in our shop, autistic, and we took him on as one of us. And he worked with us, we taught him, he was a great guy to have, and I think what the town can do with some of our dollars is hire more autistic and special needs children. I have two daughter-in-laws that are teachers. My one daughter-in-law is a phys ed teacher out in East Norwich for autistic children, and she loves it. She loves it so much that she wouldn't leave that position to take a regular job in a regular public school. And my other daughter-in-law that's sitting here now is a special needs teacher. So I have that in my heart for the special needs, and I think we need to continue to work with them. And Eric, you did a great job painting the mural on my building.
You did a good job fixing my car.
We're going to have Councilman Cook take the first response to the next question. We have a gentleman in the back that we haven't heard from, if we can take that question.
I can't tell you? Okay. Good evening. My name is Matt Harris. I live in Huntington Station. I think most of you know me. I asked this question 2 years ago when Supervisor Patrone was running for re-election. I'd like to ask it of you, since the situation has not changed in the last 2 years. The town is involved with a multi-million-dollar lawsuit with the owners of the power plant in Northport. The only thing that's changed is it's no longer against LIPA. I believe it's now against National Grid. I'd like to know, whoever wins town board, what you plan to do to stem the tide of the money that we're spending on all the legal fees against this tax certiorari. Thank you.
Well, right now, we just got some good news in regards to it just recently, a couple of days ago, that the courts have narrowed the case down, and it's looking much better. What we're looking to do is plan for LIPA to regenerate that plant, upgrade it, and we're working towards doing that. Hopefully, and I don't think we'll be able to, but I think we may be able to make a deal before it goes to the judge, and that's what my prayers are, because it's a very iffy situation, and it's something that needs to be done, and I can tell you that the town is working very diligently on it, and we have to do whatever we can to save the taxpayer dollars on that one. Thank you.
Jennifer Thompson.
So it's an interesting question because I am in the unique position of being a Northport East Northport school board member, in which I'm part of the lawsuit, and our district is named in the lawsuit. So I really am not at liberty to speak about it because we are in litigation. But I can say that my record, which is public on the matter, is that I voted against accepting a deal that was presented to us because I didn't think it was the right thing for the taxpayers of our community. It was a 59% reduction. I know that that's public knowledge, and my vote on that is public, and I will continue to take that stand to support the community and protect the tax-based revenue from that power plant.
I believe we still need to fight the fight on that one, Matt. I don't want to take the risk of settling that thing out of court and raising our taxpayers for our constituents in Northport, East Northport. Thank you.
Susan
If I could just go back for 1 second, I just want to say that the young gentleman that Keith Barrett was talking to, Chris, I hired him and his mom's here tonight, so hi Maureen. Okay.
Wow.
In terms of the LIPA suit, there were 4 members of the town board that voted against settling the suit and fought for bringing the litigation and defending us. The only council person who voted against that was Gene Cook. He was in favor of settling it from the start. I was not in favor of settling it. I'm not in favor of settling it now. We've won every motion we've made so far, and we should continue to settle it, because if the assessment is challenged and if the assessment, gets to go up, you're talking millions of dollars, not just to the Northport School District, but to us as well here in Half Hollow Hills. It will affect everybody. So it is my intention to continue to fully litigate this matter and make sure that LIPA stands by what it agreed to, which was not to challenge the assessment. Thank you.
The next question, we're going to start with our response from Jennifer Thompson.
It's a good one.
Yes, I have a question for the members of the town board. I wanted to address it first to Susan Berlin, but I guess it doesn't matter. I'd like to know what the town has done in the last 10 to 15 years to preserve single-family housing in the town. And I also would like to know, I've had several FOIL requests denied, to know how many houses within the town have accessory apartments in their cellars and basements. The town has that information, but they will not give it to me. And since that does affect our tax base and it does affect neighborhoods, I would like to know what the town board thinks about that. Thank you.
Well, I believe the question started with the 10-year record, and I'll just be honest. I don't know the 10-year record on that issue specifically. But what I will say, and I have said publicly more than once, is that I believe that our residents should be protected. When you buy a home and your home is zoned for a single family, I don't like the idea that that erodes with variances. I believe that our home is for most of us, our biggest asset and our largest investment. And when we buy a home and we look on the map to the left and the right and see how our neighborhood is zoned, that should be protected.
I don't know the 10-year record either, but what I will say is that I think we need to do something with the apartments that are illegal. When we see 10, 15 cars out in front of a house, we must know that there's a problem there. And I know there's all the red tape. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know how we go about getting into those apartments, but we need to check and start checking them out. Thank you.
Susan Burley.
When you buy your home and there's a 10-acre vacant parcel next to your home, you can hope that the parcel is going to maintain itself as a vacant parcel, but there's an owner of the property who lives next door. And when the owner of that property comes forward with an application, it's up to the town board to decide whether they accept that application or they don't. They're taken on a case-by-case basis. You know, if people want to come in, there is a property right here in Dix Hills that they came in and they built what was by right able to build. They built single-family homes by right. They didn't ask for variances, that's what they built. If you're coming in and you're asking to build what by right is on that property, you can build it. If you're asking for a change of zone, then you come to the town board and it's based on every single application. I don't know what, I know I have to stop, but I don't know what list you're talking about the illegal apartments. Believe me, if we were aware of illegal seller apartments and we were able to get into them, we would be in them. So if you have addresses, Mr. Clausen, come on down and let me know what they are. I'd be more than happy to do it.
These are legalized apartments that have been legalized by the town of Huntington. They're already legal.
If they're legal accessory apartments, then they've been legalized by the zoning board, and that's the question for the zoning board.
They will not give me the answer.
Well, give me a call tomorrow. I'll see what I can do for you, okay?
How many accessory apartments are in cellars and basements in the town of Huntington?
Give me a call tomorrow, and I will try to find the answer with the zoning board for you anytime.
Councilman Cook? After this, we'll take one more question for these candidates.
Mr. Clausen, the fact of the matter is I don't know how many illegal apartments or even legal apartments there are. I can tell you that under the past year, with the number of pieces of legislation that have been passed, I believe that there will be more illegal apartments out there. And that's the problem. We need to look over our legislation properly so that we make sure that we have people with legal apartments and that everything is 100% under the uniform code of New York State. Thank you.
Keith Barrett will respond to the final question to start.
Yes, I'd like to ask the town board candidates. Some towns on Long Island enjoy councilmatic districts where specific council people are for specific areas of the town, their designation and responsibility lies mostly there. In the town of Huntington, you're all councilmen at large, which means that you can service and address problems all through the town, but it seems that some areas get so much more weight and other council people ignore other areas regardless of their concerns. The question is, would you support a proposition for councilmatic districts in the town of Huntington if you're elected or re-elected?
I would. Yes, I would, because I believe that Huntington Station is not represented, and that's why I'm going, one of the reasons why I'm doing this, because I believe Huntington Station needs to be represented. And with four council people, how do you break that up into the councilmatic districts is something we would have to look into, but I would like to look into it anyway. Thank you.
Councilwoman Garland?
I am not in favor of councilmatic districts. When the issue came up last time, I was not in favor of it. I am no longer in favor. Mr. Rockline, you tend to comment that all I care about is Dix Hills. That's just not the truth. I care about the entire town. You know, we all represent the town, and we're all held accountable by all the residents of the town. I think breaking it up into little factions and having one person represent one area and one person representing the other leads to more backroom dealings, leads to more, I'm not going to do for your side of the town unless you do for my side of the town. And I don't think that's how the town of Huntington is. We are one town. We have common interests, and they span from one end of our town to the other, and I would hate to see that broken up and cause infighting amongst various areas of the town. So I oppose councilman districts.
Councilman Cook?
So I have to tell you, I'm in a very unique position. Before I got elected, I was for councilmatic districts. But I actually spent some time with a councilwoman in the town of North Hempstead, where there are councilmatic districts. And what happened was she said it's so difficult to get people together, and the supervisor sort of is on his own, and nobody's watching him. At this point, I am no longer in favor for councilmatic districts. I think it's a bad thing to do. It doesn't really represent the people. Thank you.
We'll close with Jennifer Thompson answering this question.
So this is an interesting question because our school board actually talked about this. We have 9 school board members. I know it's a huge board. And we have 9 campuses. And we talked about the idea of maybe having each school board member, be a liaison to a different campus and bring back to the board the concerns or the needs of that particular campus. I don't know that I support the idea of councilmatic districts like by election where somebody has to live in a certain area and then they represent that. But I do like the idea of maybe having each one of us represent or break up potentially the township and act as a liaison. And we have 4 years, so if we rotated every year, that would give each council member an opportunity to get to know that community, find its needs, come back, and work with maybe the person who was there the year before and say, hey, are those still the needs? How can we address them? And so in a 4-year rotation, we would all get to know our community and all work together to find solutions for the different needs.
I'd like to thank these candidates, and we're going to move on to our Town of Huntington Town Clerk, Joanne Reyes. And I want to thank the community for, we know it's a long night tonight, so please, we still have a few more people that have sat here, candidates that have sat here patiently. So if you just give us a few more minutes of your time.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank the Apollo Hills PTA Legislative Committee for hosting this event. I'd like to thank everyone for attending this evening and for staying here to listen to us. My name is Joanne Rhea, and I'm running for re-election as Huntington Town Clerk. I grew up in Brooklyn and moved to Huntington in 1958. And raised my 2 children, Diane and Andrew. Some of you might know my son Andrew, in this great town. I worked in private industry for 18 years, and in 1981 I ran for election for town clerk and was elected. And I've been re-elected ever since. About 95% of my responsibilities as town clerk is mandated by state and town law. So I have like 5% to deal with and do what I feel is best for the community. So I've done as much as I could with that 5%. I've created cost-effective programs for the students, for veterans, for senior citizens, for the disabled, and for the commuters who ride on the Long Island Railroad. I'm also very proud of one of the gems in the town, and that is my records management program, which is award-winning. I have a record center and also a state-of-the-art archives, which houses the original Indian deed from April 1653. I love my job. I am fortunate to be running unopposed. So please still consider voting for me. And if you haven't voted for me in the past, maybe you'll flick that lever this time. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Joanne. Would you like to take one question?
Sure.
Sure.
Nobody ever asks me.
You see who asks the question.
Usually no one asks questions. Hi, Alyssa.
First of all, I want to tell you, everyone, you are the
Please keep
longest
it to a
serving.
question.
It is a question. You are the longest serving records keeper, everything.
Town clerk,
You're a town clerk in the world, I think, and you have done a phenomenal job in that. I tell everyone. But my question is the issue of term limits came up, and if we had term limits, you would never have been able to do all the wonderful things that you have done for so long. So you are a running example of why we don't need and shouldn't have term limits. We have elections. And I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. And if you have a comment about term limits, we would appreciate hearing it.
Well, thank you very much, Alyssa. I appreciate it. I think the term limit issue should be clarified, and I think the candidates are referring to policy making. Both the tax receiver and the town clerk are purely administrative. While I sit at town board meetings, nobody listens to me. I just take care of the records and listen to everything and try and keep a straight face at all times. And we are purely administrative positions. I do have a tremendous amount of administrative experience, and term limit issue came up once before for the tax receiver, highway superintendent, and town clerk. And I had tons of people come to that hearing, from the general public to judges and town clerks, and I had letters of support explaining why that position should not have a term limit and should not be appointed. And to be honest with you, nobody came up and spoke in favor of it, so the issue just died. And it wouldn't have affected me. I would have been grandfathered in, but I'm thinking of the future. I always think of the future when I try to create new programs, and in this particular case, I was thinking of the future. So I will always speak opposing it for town clerk, tax receiver, and highway superintendent. Thank you very much.
And next we have the Town of Huntington receiver of taxes candidates, Esther Bona and Monique Pardes, if I'm saying it right. Thank you for being patient.
Good evening. My name is Esther Bavona, and I am sure you all know what I do. I want to thank you for sticking this out tonight, for listening to the last two candidates to speak. I see that your eyes are still open, so that's a good thing. I have been the tax receiver for Huntington for the last 24 years. I was first elected in 1991. Prior to that, I was the deputy tax receiver for 9.5 years. I began my career in the town of Huntington in 1981. I grew up in Centerport. I am I came here in 1955, and I will not tell you how old I was at that point, but as far as the tax receiver's office, I want to take this time to speak about some of the things that I've done. What is most important to me is access. You have access to me. I sit at the first desk. I answer my own phone. I hate answering machines, sorry.
Why?
I believe that you have the right, if you have a tax question, to come and talk to me, and I will be there for you. I also have provided 24/7 access to the tax office through our website. Now, we've had a website since the early 90s. It's been modified recently, and it's much more interactive, but I was there at the beginning of that, and I think that was very important. So you have 24/7 access to me. In addition to that, we have flex time in the office. So our office hours are extended at no additional cost to the taxpayers. I think I've done a lot for the taxpayers in the town of Huntington. I ask for your support. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you to the Half Hollow Hills PTA for having me here this evening and allowing me to meet all of you in person. My name is Monique Pardes, and I'm running for Receiver of Taxes for the town of Huntington. I've lived in the Old Chester Hills community for the past 18 years. I'm a member of their civic association. My son graduated from John Glenn High School, and my daughter is currently a senior there. I received my BA in psychology, and then went on to get I received that from Stony Brook University, and then I went on to receive my paralegal certificate from Adelphi University. Currently, I have my teaching assistant certificate, and I am a TA with children who have special needs, learning disabilities, autism, and Down syndrome. A few things that I would like to see in the receiver of taxes office is, it has to do with facilitating payment. One thing I would like to explore the possibility of is general services, roping off a section of the parking lot during the tax deadline so that you can park easier, get in, make your payment, and get back out, because parking in Huntington is rough. Another thing would be the last Saturday before the tax deadline to have office hours, in addition to the flex hours that are already provided. The last thing is, I do believe in answering machines for when the office is closed. This way, if you have a question, you can leave me a message and I can get back to you the next day with your answer. Also, it would have the most frequently asked questions, because maybe that would give you your answer right away. Lastly, I would just like to say, I appreciate you coming out tonight and listening to me. I'm grateful for your support, and I hope for your vote on November 3rd. Thank you.
Do I have any questions for these candidates from the community?
Oh, come on, one. You stayed here all this time waiting for your questions. What do you think is going to win tonight?
They're my fallback colors.
Where's my cookies?
Who do you make your check out to?
Who do I make my check out? I make my check out to me. As receiver of taxes.
Okay, I'd like to thank all the candidates and the community for coming out tonight, for sticking it out this long. It was a very informative night. Go home and watch the Mets, but most